I'm live on YouTube, Twitter, Rumble. Let me see. I think so. And give it a second here for Rockfin, and then we'll get rolling today. A lot of propaganda going on. A lot of propaganda in the air right now. Not, as though there's not always a lot of propaganda in the air. What did Greg Gutfeld? He titled his show or a video on Fox. It was like, "We're about to see a propaganda war," and I'm like, about to? Where have you been the last 6 or 7 years, definitely, but just in general, we've been subjected to a propaganda war for all of our lives, as have our parents, our grandparents. It's just a lot more present and obvious right now, which I don't think that means that we're necessarily better at defending against it. I think we are in a lot of ways, but I think they try and overwhelm us. That's a topic for another time. World War II propaganda, blame Trump, and Biden. His trip could trigger the whole thing, World War III. This is Propaganda Reports Drive Time News Blast. Before we get into all of that, I don't know if you guys remember our good friend Reginald, the progressive actor who talked to us about the actor strike and everything going on. He wanted to pop in because he had a couple of things to update us on about the actor strike. This is Reginald, our parody actor. What was that? A lot of propaganda going on. So that's what happens. I just heard myself in my ear because I had my I had my phone volume up so I have to check the chats on Rumble on my phone so it doesn't tie up my system. I'm going to bring Reginald on, and we're going to see what Reginald has to update us on with the actor strike. I haven't heard much about it. Reginald, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming back.
Rubber baby buggy bumpers. Rubber baby buggy bumpers. I'm just getting my vocals warmed up, my articulation. Bradley, it is wonderful to see you. It has been weeks.
It's been a while. I haven't seen much movement in the actor strike, so I'm eager to find out what the latest news is.
You know that there is a lot going on in Hollywood right now, as well as the rest of the world.
Of course.
We met at the table with all of the producers, and they walked away without even a counteroffer. Just walked away. Walked away. I mean,
were you there personally?
I was there outside the building waiting for Fran Drescher to come out and give us the president to give us the thumbs up that all of us background actors could feel solidarity once again with the rest of the industry.
Reginald's a background actor, solidarity with all background actors.
We are all background actors, Bradley. We are all, as Fran Drescher, the great, wonderful, mesmerizing, incomparable Fran Drescher said, we are all background actors.
Yes, we are. I don't know that she said that, though.
And, I have to say, there's a lot in common with the SAG strike and the siege on Gaza.
Whoa, wait.
I just want to say free Palestine, first of all.
Wait a minute, Reginald. Now, we came here to talk about the actor strike. Not any of that. There's no solidarity or anything like the actor strike that you can equate to what's going on in Israel. Come on now.
I beg to differ. I mean, if you think about it, the Israelis do have a right to retribution, but what they are doing by shutting off the water and the resources, how is that any different than what the producers in Hollywood have done to me?
Oh my, that is the most anti-Semitic thing I've ever heard in my life, Reginald.
I didn't say the Jews in Hollywood. I said the
you
producers.
Might as well have said the Jews.
They happen to be Jews, but it's not. They're different. These are different. I'm not talking about those Jews. These are different.
You're gonna get me kicked off of all the streams, Reginald.
No. Listen, I stand with Israel, but free Palestine. It's very simple.
You said. I don't know that that's, I guess it's a position. I guess it depends on your definition of what all this means. It's a real complicated thing for people to talk about because you want to differentiate Hamas from Palestine. I'm sure you're not a fan of Hamas.
I am not, I mean...
Not hummus. I know I'm talking about Hamas.
I love hummus. Who doesn't like hummus? Okay, that's probably one of the best things that the Middle East has given us is hummus.
Of course, right.
You know, falafels, chicken shawarma. You know,
Right.
much very good food. Now, the thing is, though, all of that is in danger. All that good food, all the hummus is in danger of being blown up by some angry Israelis who just need to cease fire, okay, and give us a good deal on our contracts.
So this is some angry ceasefire that run Hollywood. Apparently, you're here to talk about the Hollywood strike.
These
Reginald.
are, Bradley, in the last few
Is
weeks,
Bibi Netanyahu a producer? Is that a casting director?
I mean, no, he's the prime minister of Israel. Why are you asking such silly questions? No, he's not a director. Have you ever seen? Have you go? No one ever says, "I'm going to see the new Netanyahu film." No.
I don't know. Maybe he's got some snuff films.
Okay. All right. Could we keep this above board and high class? And I don't do those types of movies. Those are illegal, first of all.
Of course, Reginald. So go on.
Much like the oppression that we are feeling, I know that the people in Palestine are feeling the same oppression that we are as actors. We have no food, we have no water, we have no resources. We are surrounded by these producers, and they will not give us an inch. I've had to create a tunnel system.
I think it's
a tunnel system just to get
tunnel system.
We actors have dug tunnels underneath Los Angeles in order to transport things back and forth so we don't get caught by the producers.
You're having to hide your activities, but are you, Reginald, I hate to ask this question, but are you planning some sort of attack against the producers in Hollywood?
No, we're planning a show. We're planning on putting on a big show.
Oh, you're going to attack them with a show.
No, wait, listen. Okay, listen. You don't seem to understand. We can't just go out and make. They'll shut us down if we try to make our own independent, non-union films. So we are forced underground. We have shuttle lights and cameras through a tunnel system, and we have to bring them to these. We have to. I mean, it's dangerous work being an independent artist.
Reginald, you're nothing like the Palestinians. You're nothing. The people you're dealing with are nothing like the Israel government. I think it's just abhorrent for you to make such a comparison like that. It makes me worry that there's going to be other people or activists that compare themselves that way and want to commit some sort of act against other institutions in this country.
I mean, I think that's
Sir Tim of Tunnels wants to know if maybe you're, channeling children through that tunnel down there, Reginald.
Okay. Child actors. These are well-trained
child
actors.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Well-trained child
You're
actors.
Sick, Reginald.
On ways to, we have to go. You have to tunnel them through the tunnels so that they can get to their rehearsals and their shows. We cannot let the producers know what we're doing.
Right.
Okay?
Those are your hostages, I'm guessing.
No, they're not hostages. We are artists. That doesn't even rhyme with hostages.
Everything doesn't have to rhyme, Reginald.
It does when you're making wonderful musicals like we are.
How did your musical go? Your last musical you made, what was it? The death of a
assisted suicide of a selling person?
Yes, the assisted suicide of a selling person.
Every single show sold out. We did 2 nights.
In the tunnels?
In the North Hollywood Theater. This was before. In the North Hollywood, before we had to go underground. We did it 2 nights in the North Hollywood Theater.
Okay, yeah.
A total of 100 people over 2 nights came out and
saw. Fantastic. 50 people a night. That's fantastic, Reginald.
Yes. Well, the cast was allowed 2 comp tickets, and it was a cast of 15.
So 35 people you had.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So Dana wants to know if you have any advice for future background artists.
Never give up. Never give up.
All right.
Persevere. That's what you should do. If you really want it, it will happen. But you have to really want it. And practice gratitude.
I don't know if that's true. I think you have to take action.
Well,
you just sit around wanting really hard.
You can.
You mean you can?
I've wanted so hard I've levitated off the ground.
Oh, I'm sure you have, Reginald. You sick freak.
these attacks. I mean, it's bad enough.
Oh, I'm attacked. Now I'm launching missiles at you.
Exactly. Now I'm besieged by you, Bradley.
Now I'm Jewish.
Binkley is not. Binkley does not sound very Jewish.
It's not.
Binkley sounds Scotch Irish.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's right. It's about right. Scott Irish.
I mean, it doesn't sound very Jewish. Binkelstein, Binkelflaum, Binkelfeen. These are all Jewish-sounding names. Okay, Binkelberg.
Reginald, we have to. You need to really go and diversify your news diet, and never compare yourself again to anything that's going on over there.
Do you know where I get most of my news? I get it from 3 sources. I get it from AOC's Twitter page, Rashida Tlaib's Twitter page, and the great and beautiful Ilhan Omar's
Twitter
page.
Are you a member of the
of Twitter? Yes, I am a member of Twitter.
Yeah, of X. But that
X,
group,
yes,
what are they called? The gang,
the squad.
The squad. Are you?
Yes, I'm a squaddy.
You're a squaddy?
I'm a squaddy. I'm a squaddy.
Is that what you guys are called?
I'm a squaddy puddy.
Squaddy, yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, you go there and squatty in Hollywood. And Reginald, thanks for coming here. I don't appreciate you bringing the politics.
AOC is going to be making some hummus on her live stream. If everyone wants to switch over now,
I'm sure there'll be some ASMR going on while she's eating the hummus. You can go enjoy that and whatever it is that you do in your studio apartment, Reginald. Thank you. And
free Hollywood.
Do not free Hollywood, Reginald. Come on, you're gonna get canceled. All right, Reginald. We'll see you next time, buddy.
Ta-ta.
Okay, I'm sorry about Reginald. Reginald is a bit inappropriate. He seems to have a kind of a California perspective going on out there. Let's talk about all the stuff that's going on. Why not joke around about something that's just everybody's super serious about? I feel like we have to, because everybody, if you look at Twitter, and I know that you can't really tell how people are how they are in person. Nobody is who they are in person on Twitter, but people are on Twitter and other social media platforms so often that those become who they are. And I think it probably bleeds out. And they have people on social media, because of what's going on right now, just ripping each other apart about everything. And today, it's like all blowing up today, and it could continue to blow up. I'm going to bring Ian. Ian, you're a little bit. Thanks for joining. You just missed Reginald. So.
Oh man, I always miss him. He and I are never in the same room at the same time.
Yeah, wow. I like you a lot better than Reginald. He was comparing himself to victims or whatever over there. He was comparing himself to a deprived Palestinian who is being tortured by basically what he said was the Jews in Hollywood. And I don't like Reginald bringing that kind of stuff on here. So let's get on to talking about this. And God, man, I need Reginald, if you're still listening, man, open your mind to other news sources. Go watch a speech given by the guy who wrote Twilight Zone originally. Gives a lot of free speech talks and a lot of very reasonable things in the 50s. Start there and then work. Yeah, fantastic.
Okay.
All right. So here's what's going on today. We're being plunged into World War III.
Mm-hmm.
Totally being plunged into World War III, whether we like it or not. I have thought this was kind of in the grand plan. And when I say grand plan, I don't ever mean anything's perfectly scripted out. I think about it like improv. They have an idea of their want and what they're trying to accomplish, and they move towards that goal. And then when something happens that doesn't, that maybe they didn't consider, they just adjust and they try to make gold out of whatever happened in order to fulfill that goal as they move forward.
Yeah, like the great George Carlin once said, and kind of paraphrase it, you don't need a conspiracy when so many people have so many of the same aligned interests.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You don't need them. You don't need a coordinated conspiracy.
Dana says, I saw Ian, Reginald, and Bigfoot in the same place one time. I don't know where I don't know where she could have saw it.
Oh, I know. That was a great party.
So here's what the big story is today. It's that there was a hospital in Gaza 500 people died. They said 200 to 300, and they said 500. This is CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Kind of, the facts are always foggy in situations like this. I honestly don't believe anything that comes out of a war scenario. Is always a fog of war that you learn the truth much, much later. And they're saying the hospital's blown up, and originally CNN was saying that it was likely Israel because they were citing Palestinian government. They were citing Hamas, and they said that they saw missiles launching over in that direction from Israel when at the time that the hospital blew up. But then shortly thereafter, they brought on a spokesperson from Israel who said that's not true. And he said it was actually it was either Hamas, he said, or what did he say? What was that? He said Hamas or another group.
There is another group in there.
What is the other group?
I don't remember.
I got it written here. Hold on.
There's
Blame.
one more group in there.
It's another terrorist-sounding group. Is what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
I recognize the name. Okay, so they said. Sorry about this. I had this pulled up here, but I just lost it.
You're good.
Okay, I don't have it. I don't have it pulled up here. I don't know who they blamed, but they blamed another terrorist. There's a bunch of groups that are jumping in on the fighting, right? So you know how Biden, they said Hezbollah, and Biden did a 60 Minutes interview, and they said, "What would you say to Hezbollah?" And then Biden said, "Don't."
I know. Well, and Blinken said the same.
Don't.
Blinken said the same thing.
How many takes did it take for them to get that? You know, he's just asleep, and they woke him up, and he's just like, "Don't."
Yeah, he sounds like he was trying to channel his best Liam Neeson.
Yeah, his eyes get real.
Yeah, that's who we should get for president right now is Liam Neeson. Let's get rid of Biden. Let's get Liam Neeson just during this right now.
I think that would be hilarious. But did you see Liam Neeson? Did you ever see the stuff where he said a bunch of racist stuff, apparently?
No.
And when he was fighting somebody, like before he became a famous actor, it was interesting, and it kind of just popped out of the news really quickly. That's probably why Liam Neeson probably made a deal with somebody, is what I'm thinking, after that came out. Because it quickly went out of the news that he got into a bar fight and shouted, I think, the N-word or something like that. I don't know what it was. I don't know the context. I should
Nutmeg?
Yeah, he shouted, he's like, "You nutmeg, get out of my face. All these nutmegs."
Oh my God. Like I don't even want to say the N-word because the N-word is just too close to the N-word.
It was a Palestinian Islamic Jihad group is the way they described it. That's what it was. And they say that they accidentally blew the hospital up because of a failed rocket launch. And the guy they had on CNN, they said, CNN asked him, what about people who don't know who to believe? You know, because it was originally reported this way, and there's what we saw. And he said, well, that's easy. You don't believe Hamas, and you believe us. And look, that's just not a good enough explanation.
It's kind of a Rorschach test, right? I mean, it is. It's like, this is so tough, man. Like we were saying earlier, I know that, none of us want World War III, but I'm not seeing. They're not going to let it go without something,
Well, they clearly want it to happen, and there's another series of stories that happened in the past couple of days that all push towards that. One being we told 2,000 troops that to get ready to be deployed to go over and assist Israel in a non-combat capacity. What are they going to go? Are they therapists? Are they going to be talking to them about their problems in the safe haven of a bunker? No, this non-combat. That's kind of insulting the way they put that. But then we had President Biden, who's going to be going over there. He's on his way over there right now.
It's crazy.
I know, and
that's kind of crazy.
And to me, it's like this is the best way to ensure that we just jump right into World War
II.
Because what if they kill him? Right? Then
what if they kidnap him and take him down to a terror tunnel?
And
all those people are like, it was bad enough we were kidnapped by Hamas.
And they smell his hair.
Now you kidnapped us and forced us to hang out with Joe Biden the whole time.
Oh God, dude! And he just sexually assaults everyone in that tunnel.
Let me smell your hair.
But people are talking about that, and it's going to be framed as he's so brave to go over there and show solidarity.
Well, which Joe Biden is going over there? Which
I
of the
don't know.
7 Joe Bidens is
I
going
would
over?
not want that job if I were one of the body doubles to go over there.
Oh my gosh.
I would be quitting, but they would probably try to kill you after that. Maybe this is how they take him out and they usher in Kamala, but it's just the best way to not get killed in that conflict is to not go over there. And by going over there, he's not just putting our national security in jeopardy, he's putting the world's security in jeopardy and potentially expediting the beginning of World War III. And he was going to have a meeting with some of these the Arab leaders.
Trump should go first. Trump should just go ahead.
Trump should go ahead. Trump's like, I've already taken care of it.
I already got it.
Trump is taking, no, he doesn't drink, but they're taking shots and they're all partying and they're friends. He's like, I ended it in 12 hours. I'm going to end Ukraine in 24. And then Biden goes home and says,
they're all drinking Diet Cokes.
and eating McDonald's.
I got McDonald's for everybody.
We built a McDonald's in the tunnel. This is great real estate down here. You're going to make tons of money.
You can't get a cheeseburger around here.
Yeah, you can now. You couldn't when I got here, but I changed the whole place. It's like Palestinian Mar-a-Lago over here now. So not only is Biden going over
Palalago.
Melania, come over here and take a picture with the former terrorist.
You haven't seen Melania in a while. Come on.
No, he's cool now.
I'm getting worried about Melania. We haven't seen her in a long time.
Well, I think she's kind of staying out of all this. It feels like Trump was like, the media would tell you that Melania is just changing she's changing the will, she's changing the prenup, which is like, I think the prenup, Trump is the one who, stands to lose in the prenup.
You think Trump would sign a prenup where he would be on the losing end?
No, I don't.
I don't think so at all. I think if anything, he probably took a dowry.
Oh, what? What is that?
Well, that's a dowry is like, you get the bride and some money from the bride's family.
Right.
It's like an old-fashioned thing.
Right. You get the bride, and like if she has like a little sister that's good looking.
You get the dowry, yeah. You get paid to take the bride.
Yeah, I think he's probably keeping her and his son, who is like a teenager now, out of it, if I had to guess. I mean, who would want to be involved in all? It's just everywhere he goes, he gets attacked. So Melania, when she tried to do stuff, they went after her.
I think the attacks are starting to lose power. I really do. Like, I think progressives have started to overplay their hand. You can look at evidence like this. Like, okay, I think like the trans thing has definitely lost steam because of the Nashville shooting. That definitely, because that allowed people to kind of, go, well, I mean, you can shoot an AR-15 and go crazy too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, so the trans thing, and then I think, I think like the drag queen stuff was starting to get pushed. Like people were doing drag queens at like state capitals, where they were stripping at it. And I think people really, like low information people finally started to see what was going on. And they were like, what? You look at the eco-terrorist, right? Right. One of my favorite rabbit holes to go down YouTube watching is just eco-terrorists getting pummeled and dragged out of the streets. I find it so cathartic.
They're like gluing themselves to.
Oh, I find it, and when they rip their hand off after I find it so cathartic. I'm like, yeah.
Didn't some of them show up to Burning Man?
Yeah, they did. And then all the Burning Man people got crazy. You should have seen that. Like they got out of their cars and started fighting with the people.
Put them at the bottom of the orgy.
Yeah. But I think like, I don't think like calling someone a Trumper is going to have the same effect in 2024. I don't. I think it's totally losing its power.
I agree, but they have not. They are committed to doing it. And
they'll find a new tactic. They'll find something new.
I'm going to play some clips. Here's what I think is going to happen.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I think that what the messages that have been going around the past few days are, Israel is so united right now it's crazy because they were so divided politically before, and it's unfortunate it took this, but we are exactly where we want to be in unity. And that's unity propaganda. And unity propaganda is the propaganda that always precedes a world war. Every single time, like Bernays, Laswell, all of these propagandists from the 1920s that wrote all their books about it, even dating back further, you have to do often, actually not often, always using atrocity propaganda, which we've seen tons of that. And you have to get people so shocked and outraged about something that to even disagree with the mainstream opinion it is abhorrent. And that we're seeing right now, Israel's so united, the United States is still so fractured. Look at the Republicans; they can't even elect a speaker. Those idiot racist, and guess whose fault all of that is? It's Donald Trump's fault.
Okay, I know.
Donald Trump is the reason to speak because he supports Jim Jordan. He's the reason for the election denialism. And guess what? Trump is also running around out there right now praising Hezbollah and Iran. He's praising them. He's anti-Israel. He's criticizing Bibi Netanyahu, which is insane that they're trying to portray Trump as being anti-Israel.
He's like, he moved the embassy to Jerusalem,
which they all criticized him for.
Right. Oh my gosh, they said he was going to start World War III.
Totally. Absolutely. And now Biden is clearly starting World War III.
Right. Well, I watched something recently that was like how Trump started all this that we're dealing with today. And they were like, the moment that Trump put the embassy in Jerusalem is when all this started to fall. And I'm like, give me a break.
Yeah. They blame it on the division. So the same messages that are coming from people in Israel about the unity, we're hearing mirrored in the United States media about unity, and the only person standing in the way of that unity is Donald Trump, and you can see it because he is praising Hezbollah, which he is absolutely not.
He's not.
This whole thing was built on one out of context clip, and I put together basically like a montage of like 5 different people. You can really see when the talking points are sent out.
Okay.
And everybody is committing to the talking points when there's this level of consistency from everyone, and even an ad by one of Trump's opponents, which is not even an opponent. It's Chris Christie. He's only there to, like, they call Chris Christie a candidate for the GOP primary. Chris Christie had 0% when he started. There was literally 0% of people that wanted him to jump into the race, except for CNN and MSNBC, because all he is there to do is say, "Oh yeah, big guy. The last thing Trump wants to see is me, Donald Duck." It's just that's all he's there to do.
Because we're gonna call him Donald Duck, huh? Huh? Huh?
Did you see? I think we watched.
Yeah, we were watching that
he
together.
Made that obviously scripted,
dude.
He's
and
so
the way he
cringe.
looked around, it was like, I was always good at like slamming people in high school, right?
Damn, dude,
and it was like when I would get,
come on,
you know what I
dude.
mean? It was always good at cut downs, put downs, all that stuff. And like whenever there's this one football player I would get into it with from time to time, and every time like he would get so uncomfortable because everyone would laugh at what I was saying, and he would make some dumb joke and be like, huh, and like just 3 of his dumb dork friends would laugh
so that he wouldn't beat him up later.
Right.
Yeah, that happened to me a few times. It's always good until they corner you and try.
Yeah, but
yeah, whatever. All right, so,
whatever.
Here we go. All right, so this is kind of a series of clips here of this narrative. Trump is to blame for the disunity, and look what happened to Israel when they weren't united. They got attacked, so we could get attacked. If we get attacked, it's Trump's fault, and Trump, it continues to cause division by his criticism. I mean, this is the fucking narrative, and it would not surprise me, dude, if they did a false flag and they blamed it on what they will dub a pro-Hamas MAGA Trumper. I mean, I think that's where this is going.
Oh yeah. Well, of course they've got an office. Look at their
It's a little
Look
office.
at
They'll
their
sit-
laptops and all the paperwork and all this. I mean, these guys have some reports they got to turn in.
Look at this woman over here
Yeah.
who's zooming in. She's
Very
so
serious.
sick and tired of Trump that you can just see it in her eyelids.
Yeah.
And it looks like Trump gave her COVID, as sick as she is right there.
On the political front, it is kind of a miraculous thing we see kind of happening, which is we just had Mike McCall, who's clashed with the administration, the Biden administration before, chairman of House Foreign Affairs, has threatened to hold Tony Blinken in contempt, complimenting Tony Blinken and the administration for being there and being on the ground to stand with Israel.
So it's extraordinary that people who were divided are now unifying, but
Who is not doing that is the former president of the United States,
Who could have guessed?
Donald Trump. And I
Donald
want to play
Duck.
for everyone what he said yesterday.
Here's what he
because
said.
We've also just received a response from the Biden White House. Listen to this.
this is great.
I'll never forget that Bibi Netanyahu let us down. That was a very terrible thing. I will say that. When I see sometimes
Clearly edited cut.
the intelligence, you talk about the intelligence, or you talk about some of the things that went wrong over the last week, they've got to straighten it out because they're fighting potentially a very big force. And they said, gee, I hope Hezbollah doesn't attack from the north because that's the most vulnerable spot. I said, wait a minute. You know, Hezbollah is very smart. They're all very smart. The press doesn't like when they say it.
Okay, before we hear the responses and what the White House said, to
my
me it seems
gosh.
pretty obvious what Trump is saying.
Yes,
He's saying,
it
do
seems
not
very obvious.
underestimate your opponent.
That's what he's saying.
Because if you do, you're going to get your ass whipped, right?
Yeah, especially because these people believe that they are on a mission from God.
Absolutely. So is that like a bad thing? Should you treat your opponent
No.
as stupid and be wrong about it and then get
No.
your ass whipped? Or should you
Never.
treat like right? But they have managed to mainstream that position that you should act like the people you're going up against are the dumbest MFers on the planet and just hope you're correct.
You know, just look how friggin' fake this whole image
Dude,
is.
wait till you hear
Oh!
what they say, man.
I hate these people.
This is the White House's response to Trump. Trump is not praising Hezbollah. Trump is saying, you guys better get your shit together or you're going to get your ass whipped, is what he's saying.
Oh,
But here's how
fake
the White House
people.
responded.
Very smart. From the White House. The White House just put this out. A spokesperson on these statements says, we don't comment on 2024. Statements like this are dangerous and unhinged. It's completely lost on us why any American would ever praise an Iran-backed terrorist organization as smart or have any objection to the United States warning terrorists not to attack Israel, especially now as Israel is fighting back against one of the worst acts of mass murder in the country's history.
Okay. Okay, do they think that the guys who pulled off 9/11 were like the Keystone Cops?
And that's what you
Are
would
they
presume,
fucking
right?
stupid?
Well, it's what they do here. This is another straw man type of argument here. The way all the fact checks do is they intentionally misinterpret what Trump
Exactly.
is saying.
It drives me
And-
crazy.
Right. And so he's obviously talking about strategy so that you better, I mean, he even says it. If you watch the full thing, and I think he even said it in that clip, they better get it together. I mean, because these are tough guys that are going up. Like, I don't like Bryce Harper on the Phillies. They just beat the hell out of the Braves. But like, I don't like him at all. But I think he's a badass baseball player. Does that
Yeah.
make me a traitor to the Braves to say
Right.
that?
Right, exactly.
It's
I mean,
just, like, we better throw Bryce Harper. We better lob some pitches up to him because we have to think he's stupid. Since
if
we don't like him.
if someone said to me, "Hey, did you hear that Brad Binkley was going to fight Mike Tyson?" I go, "Well, Brad better get it together because
Right,
Mike
if I-
Tyson is
if I think Mike Tyson's a
he's pretty
pussy,
fucking badass."
I don't need to train him eat some donuts. I would get. It would
No,
end
I think
badly
Brad
for
needs
me.
to get it together.
Right. And that's exactly what he's saying. But they
Yeah.
choose not to interpret it that way.
Mhm.
The way that they know that he meant it and
Yeah.
the way that every single
And they
war
do
general
this.
would
They
interpret
do,
it.
and they do this so at Thanksgiving across the country, you can have blue-haired college students scream at their parents, "He called them smart."
It's just so crazy to me because in another context, every general that we have in the military and President Biden himself would say, yeah, you can't take your enemies for, you need to make sure you respect their abilities so you can fight them, which is the most obvious thing on the planet, right?
But maybe they don't if they're blowing up their own hospitals.
Well, I guess, it's going to depend on who you think did that. And for me, I don't believe anything that comes out of there. I have no idea who did it.
It's hard to. It's real hard.
There's no way to know. There's like no way to know, which makes it perfect for whoever was responsible. And neither side is offering any evidence, which is just perfect.
It's just believe me. That's what each side is saying.
And we are in a situation in 2023 where the most logical thing to do is to believe nothing that these people tell us.
Which is not. That can also be a very dangerous place.
It is, but they have. We should not give them our trust just because they ask for it when all they have done consistently is lie to us over and over and over again. Yeah. They should at least like the guy.
That's true. That's true. They haven't earned it.
The Israeli guy. They asked him, "So are you going to show the evidence?" And he said, "We might show the evidence.
Maybe.
That's what he said. He said, but you just like he insisted that we just believe. But he said maybe we'll declassify. We don't know if we will, but we have all of it. We have all of it. Like okay, just show me a little bit of it then. Just a little bit. Like I would rather it be them. Okay, it would be easier for everybody if it was them. Like it really would for the narrative." But I think they actually want to cause conflict with this narrative. I think they want to leave it vague. I think this is part of the whole propaganda thing.
Yeah, well, there's a PR war happening at the same time.
Yeah, right. It's always effing PR war.
PR.
Yes. All right. So that was the White House's. So the White House, instead of acknowledging that Trump was talking about like a very reasonable thing when it comes to war strategy against an opponent, they decided to intentionally misinterpret. And that's the thing about intentionally misinterpreting things like this. What Trump was saying was so obvious that you have to look at what he was saying and say, I see that that's the obvious interpretation. Overlook that and then find the least likely interpretation for what he's saying and adopt that as your own and then spread it wide. And that's what they're doing. And here is how they respond. The panel, the CNN brilliant panel. I know you can't wait to hear it.
Oh, can't wait.
That's my So that image was propaganda, World War III propaganda poster, and that's what I came up with. Pretty crazy.
There used to be an idea that was elevated by Republicans that partisanship ought to end at the water's edge. That's particularly true in a time of crisis like this with an ally. The fact that Donald Trump didn't have the decency to try to unite the nation, but his instinctively.
You notice the number of times they use unity, unite, and that shit. These are talking points.
He gets paid every time he uses it.
Probably.
Always to divide and make it about himself. And then to pray.
They all say that too, every single one of them. And I only cut a couple minutes of these. I have 30 more minutes of 18 different people using the exact same language as these people.
The terrorists who murdering children.
I'm going to take that back. So really good.
To divide and make it about himself. And then to praise the terrorists who murdering children as very smart.
So that's what he said. I'm praising the terrorists. It's very smart to murder other children. So now he's adding to the lie.
The praise would be these smart and beautiful terrorists. They're so smart, so beautiful. There's no praise.
All of these people here are either stupid or I mean, I think when they're at this level of it, especially this John Avalon guy, he's a guy who his job, you can't look at him as journalists. It's like you can't look at Jake Tapper as a journalist. If you look at them as journalists and you go, what's wrong with them? They're terrible. They're not terrible. They are propagandists who are to act like journalists, and they're very good at their job.
Yeah. These are fucking progressive mouthpieces is what they are.
All right, here he is.
It reminds me of language he used after Tiananmen Square, where he praised the Chinese government at that time for being tough and smart.
Did not praise them. He simply pointed out what they did. So he is saying, this thing that I'm making up that Trump did reminds me of this other thing that I'm making up that Trump did. That's what's the explanation of how awful he is right here.
He seems to praise violent actions by so-called strong men or groups. And that's part of that. It's this instinct to make it all about himself. Not thinking about others, let alone thinking about uniting the nation or the world with our allies at this time.
So that's the third time he said uniting the nation.
Yeah, he doesn't want to unite it. He doesn't want to unite our allies.
They're hammering that point home.
Yeah, like did Trump come out and say, and by the way,
I don't want any of our allies to step in. Okay, everyone.
I want
Israel-
everybody divided. I want the
everybody
country to
divided.
crumble.
Don't say anything. I don't think he said that.
Hezbollah's so brilliant. It's just
They
so
got
hard to play
this.
chess with them.
I'm telling you, this
They
is my
built all
guys.
my IKEA desk. Okay, there's that image. Now here's the dumbest question you're ever going to hear from somebody on television. Maybe they have this woman on there because I kind of think she actually believes it because she asked the stupidest questions you could ever ask. But this is the dumbest question I've ever heard on network TV.
Can I just quickly ask you about that thing? We just saw Anthony Blinken in a remarkable, unprecedented gathering of Israelis hugging him, crying in his arms. He's a Secretary of State. He is with the Biden administration. Do you see this as Donald Trump trying to...
First of all, I would like to see a clip of that. Show me them hugging him and crying in his arms. Anthony Blinken is a warmongering psychopath. I don't think he's ever hugged anybody. I didn't mean to jump in there.
Do you see this as Donald Trump trying to find his role to get the attention he's so...
That is not hugging. Okay, so they put that on screen. That is not hugging. That is somebody grabbing his arm and crying. And then there's a bald guy behind her who looks like he wants to kill Anthony Blinken to me. He's that guy looks like he wants to eat his face.
Yeah.
craves, as opposed to trying to govern, trying to show...
Did you hear what she said there? So this... I kept interrupting. That's my fault. I'm not going to say anything because I want you to hear how stupid her question
Do
is.
you see this as Donald Trump trying to find his role to get the attention he so craves, as opposed to trying to govern?
I want to stop it right there. Trump is not governing. So I'm going to assume that she means as opposed to trying to show the public how he would govern if he was president, which is what you do in a campaign. But her question is Trump just talking about Israel because he wants to get attention and feed his ego when he should be talking about how he would govern? In other words, is Trump just talking about this issue that he would be faced with as president when what he should be doing is talking about what he would be faced with as president?
Yeah.
I mean, what an idiot.
Oh, so stupid.
And he's obviously not governing, but nobody comments on that. But here it goes back to the same explanation that you hear on MSNBC, you hear on CNN, even on Fox, I heard. But across the board, it's all about his ego.
Trying to show...
That's the instinct. He's got to insert himself. The agita he feels when it's not all about him, even in the midst of a terrorist attack, trying to insert himself in the middle of this. The inability to rise above and unite. Yeah, I don't think it's about anything more than his ego.
Inability to rise above and unite.
What did Trump say where he inserted himself in this?
They take that clip out of context and then people don't question it who watch their network, right? So their target audience is probably people like me who like hate watch them, and then people who just satisfies all of their confirmation bias. It's not people who are critically going, wait a minute, he didn't actually say that, because he didn't say that. In fact,
Like JP watches this.
Exactly. Yeah, but they just so they started it off with, here's what he said, can you believe this? And then they're just making stuff up about it.
Mm-hmm.
And he just makes it about, what if Trump never commented on Israel, Palestine, or Hamas conflict? What if he hadn't said a word about it?
They would attack him on that too. And where is the former president on this? I mean, most former presidents would at least come out. Even Jimmy Carter said something.
You know what they'd say? They'd say he makes it all about himself by not commenting on it and focusing on other issues.
I just hope the Trump presidential library is filled with back issues of Playboy magazine, and that's it.
That would be great. There's remember the old Blockbusters where you go and you actually pick out a VHS and they had the velvet.
The little or you have to go in some places. You have to go ask for the room key.
Right, and they'd check your ID or you try to sneak in there. And Trump needs one of those rooms.
Yeah.
The Trump presidential library.
Is really disgusting, these remarks.
All right, so this is a different panel discussion. So now we're moving to another one just to show you the diversity of this talking point.
Oh my gosh.
above and unite. Yeah, I don't think it's about anything more than his ego.
It is really disgusting, these remarks that I think he made where he's, the former president is praising Hezbollah. And I think a lot of Republicans who have been critical of Congresswoman Tlaib for refusing to denounce Hamas should be equally upset then with the former president for praising Hezbollah and making these remarks at a time when we need to show solidarity with Israel and show unwavering support.
So again, she takes it to the next level. That is compared to Tlaib. You see what I'm talking about, where they want him to be the guy.
I'll tell you, as a former bartender, she's the kind of customer that gets real drunk on white wine, and as she's getting drunker and drunker, she just uses those manicured fingernails to just tap her wine glass. Ting 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 ting. Hello.
She tells you about her career.
Ting ting ting. Yeah, and then and she just gets madder and louder and more hoarse voiced as the night
Trump
goes
off
on.
that screen.
Get him out. Why are you guys playing? Do you guys know you're playing Trump right now?
She was in Trump's administration. That's the reason they had her on that panel discussion. But picking up this idea that Trump has been praising and celebrating them when he has not. Like again, they criticized Trump for how pro-Israel he was before. Now they're trying to portray him as the opposite of that and triggering World War III. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That might be.
You don't.
So here it is again from Nikki Haley.
Don't go and come.
I should premise this. Jake Tapper said, Trump said this during a rally, then played the same clip. Do you want to comment on how Trump is praising Hezbollah? That was the question. And this was part of her answer.
Israel and show unwavering support.
You don't go and compliment any of them, because what that does is that makes America look weak. It doesn't make America look strong. It doesn't make America have friends with them. What you do is you show strength. You let them know what we expect of them. So complimenting Hezbollah and going and complimenting the Chinese Communist Party or criticizing a leader who has just watched so many of his citizens brutally murdered. It's the wrong place at the wrong time. This isn't about Trump. It's not about him. It's not about what happened in the past. We've got to look forward. This is going to be tough days ahead for everyone involved. This is not the time to sit there and bash a leader. This is a time to sit there and give him the support he needs, give the Israeli people the support they need, and to help us get through this in the best way possible.
And this is a problem I have with that. Is not only are they all piling on for this clear narrative talking points that were sent out, but part of it is it's not the time to question a leader. It is the time to question. Look, I agree. My position has been
it's time to question. There's always time. There's always a good time to question.
I'm not gonna. I said in the show that I did the other day, I don't know if there was a stand down order like many people are saying or not. I know that this thing seems to be true and not denied. Okay, there's a bunch of information that has not been answered to that it would make people, it would give them clarity if anybody addressed it at all, but they do not. So there's always a time to question and criticize. Otherwise, you are a 100% propagandized slave if you just say, we should not question anybody and we should yell at everyone who does.
Yeah, I know. And what is going to come back from all this is it's going to be the war on terror too, and
dude, they've been having that guy. What was the dude's name? The war general for Gulf for the Iraq war, Petraeus. I watched these interviews with Petraeus.
You mean General Betray Us?
Yeah, right.
Remember that? They used to call him Betray Us.
Well, not anymore. They're welcoming.
I know they love him now, right?
Onto MSNBC, he did this interview. He did this interview with PBS, and they presented it. Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough, Joe Dead Intern Scarborough, presented it as you oversaw the war in Iraq very successfully. Like that's how they said it. Very successfully is how that's characterized now. Because I think some people have a different opinion.
Yeah, no, I remember living through that, and nobody thought it was successful.
I know, which is crazy. But now they're like, would you please tell us why? It's basically they have him come in, and his main talking point is there are going to be casualties of war. Children are going to die, but they didn't die with an intent to die. They died because they were trying to get the bad guy out, not because someone went and cut their head off, even though that's not actually something that anybody can prove happened.
Right.
At this point. Yeah, it's atrocity propaganda. Estella says, Playboy with Melania redacted. God, I don't want to. Hasn't Melania already been shown nude at some point?
I don't think
Melania's
so.
hot. She's the hottest first lady, you think?
She's cute.
What
Yeah,
about
oh, yeah.
Jackie O? Melania or Jackie O?
That's a tough one. I think
Jackie O was hot. She was young.
Yeah, Melania is more exotic. Melania's definitely got the MILF thing, like down, right?
Right. Melania is like
Stifler's mom. Melania is Stifler's mom.
Melania's like Stifler's mom.
Yeah, like
improvement.
yeah.
You know, Stifler's mom, after that movie, she recently was doing an interview, and she was like, yeah, after that movie, all these guys wanted to bang me, and I banged so many guys. It's hilarious. She said, yeah, I totally took advantage of that.
It's so funny.
All right, let's see what we got. Oh, yeah, we have one more here.
Here is the...
Okay, so, and again, this is just a few minutes of this. There's much more of this. But Chris Christie even put it in a campaign ad, how Trump is praising Hezbollah and Hamas.
The new ad that Joe was talking about from Super PAC supporting former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, taking on former President Donald Trump over his recent comments praising Hezbollah.
As Israel fights Hamas in Gaza and the south of Israel, the IDF also traded rocket fire with Hezbollah.
The ties between Hezbollah and Iran are far greater, far more organized.
Hezbollah is Lebanon's most powerful armed group and is committed to Israel's destruction.
Really? Hezbollah is very smart. They're all very smart.
He's a fool. Only a fool would make those kind of comments. Only a fool would give comments that could give aid and comfort to Israel's adversary.
What? Wait a minute. Do you think the Hezbollah guys are like? Do you think the Hezbollah guys like? I mean, did you see Donald Trump says we're smart? I mean, we are pretty smart. If he says we're smart guys,
we were almost defeated, but Donald Trump said we were smart. We must rise again.
Yeah,
on our motorcycles.
He gave us comfort. My soul is comforted by the great Donald Trump.
I was ready to go home to my family and children until Donald Trump gave me comfort to fight in this war.
Give me a good.
Against the Jews, which we know he hates, and we kill his daughter first.
Oh my
gosh! The best part about it was like they were talking about how powerful Hezbollah was.
Yeah, I know, and then they show the motorcycles
on a bunch of
these
like,
fucking
those
dorks
are,
on
like,
motorcycles,
tiny dirt bikes. Okay, I rode those when I was 12.
You know what? You know what? I think that Cobb County, I think Smyrna, Florida, I think just Smyrna, Georgia, could defeat Hezbollah. I think just the armed regular populace of Smyrna could probably defeat Hezbollah.
How big is it? It's very small, right? It's like smaller than most states.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, give me a friggin' break.
So somebody called Melania a 3 or 4 in the chats. Am I reading that right? I mean, whatever. To each their own. You know?
Yeah, to each their own. That's fine.
I mean, she's at least a 4.5.
She's at least she's a
she's
a 3 or a 4 on a scale of 1 to 5.
Totally. Right. Yeah. I'd turn it down just to tell people I turned it down, then I'd regret it. Afterwards. So all right. So there's that, and just to emphasize the unity aspect of it. So you see the talking points. This is the other side of it. So this is a woman who is a spokesperson for Israel. And I saw probably 5 or 6 people give the exact same talking point she did. She's the only one.
How much do you think this job pays special envoy?
I don't know, dude.
$80K, $120K?
Probably pays really effing well. Here is a spokesperson for Israel.
The Israeli people are extraordinarily united. It's kind of unbelievable to watch right now, because up until now there was a lot of divide. There was the judicial overhaul, which I spoke up against as well, and lost my job with the Israeli government, which I'm very happy to do, because I believe that you always have to be on the right side of history, right? So right now, we need to take care of unity, and we need to take care of winning this war. And the Israeli people that were divided about politics up until October 7th have united in ways that we haven't seen before, and it's sad that this is what was needed, but this is happening. So,
sad that this is what was needed, but this was happening.
But also, all the things that she was fighting for are even farther behind. You understand what Israel was all upset about? Do you know this? What was going on in Israel prior to this?
What?
So they have a Supreme Court that's different than ours. Their Supreme Court can strike down any law. So if imagine for whatever reason I can't. There's like a certain. I can't remember what it is, but basically they go, nah, that law, that's not common sense enough. It's out of here. They don't have to justify it.
Right. Yeah. It's very
right.
Yeah.
So what Netanyahu was doing was like, well, that's, no, because you guys have all been taken over by progressives. So we're going to reform the Supreme Court. And that's why they're upset.
So they were upset that the Supreme Court was being reformed.
They were upset because the Supreme Court was now going to be because they don't have the checks and balances that we do, and now they wanted to put some checks and balances on the Supreme Court, and that's why the leftists in Israel were so mad.
Yeah, I mean, Israel was already basically like a totalitarian type.
It's different than what we have. I mean, you get a new prime minister every 6 months is what it seems like.
They forced their population to get the jab.
I know.
They have big. I mean, they are the pilot use case for Big Brother sophisticated surveillance.
Oh yeah. 100%. They super high tech.
I think a lot of
military.
people forget the jab thing.
I forgot about it.
If we had forced the jab over here, even Biden didn't force the jab.
He tried.
He basically
tried to that OSHA mandate.
Right, he tried to, and they also tried to shame people into the jab, but they forced it over there, and it's. One of my friends was like, "No, Netanyahu. He's just like he thought Netanyahu was just like Trump or just like over here. Maybe they are. I don't know, but I was like, Netanyahu would have forced you to get the COVID shot." And he's like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." I think a lot of people forgot that or never realized that. There's a pretty high control mechanism going on over there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right, so. Getting back to Biden for a second, this was last week, but it's probably my favorite story of one of my favorite, probably top 15 stories of the year, and that is how we all heard Biden get out in front of the country and say, I can't believe I saw the confirmed photo evidence of 40 decapitated babies. He told the entire country that he saw the photo evidence of decapitated babies.
Corn Pop did it.
Which thus far, does not exist. The White House immediately backtracked, and even Israel has since said, we haven't seen those photos. This is seems to be another
They
case
keep saying beheaded baby all the time.
And they say it all the time, and now I heard babies with slit throats all the time, and there's this passage, and I have a whole book that goes through the atrocity stories that are used throughout the wars. There's a list of them.
I have heard
and
these.
Falsehoods in Wartime is a good book for that. Edward Bernays also talks about it all the time. He boasts about manipulating the public with it. And it's on, I couldn't find my copy of it somewhere around here, but it's on page 75 of Edward Bernays' Public Opinion. And he's talking about how it was more difficult to gain people's trust leading up to World War II because the public had grown disillusioned because they had been conned. They realized they had been conned into World War I after they were neutral. And Edward Bernays writes, they were upset because they had fallen for too many of our atrocity stories that he just openly admits making them up. So that doesn't mean that they're all made up. By any means. It doesn't mean that they're all made up. But you go back, you look at World War I, there's something called the Bryce Report where they had this, they compiled all of these evidence of atrocities to try and make a neutral America. This is part of the major campaign to get a neutral America on the side of the British during the war. And none of them are corroborated. It's widely believed to be kind of like the Steele dossier, just bogus. And it's a really interesting thing to study. But the stories, and Bernays talks about this, you just repeat the same stories over and over again, but you just update them a little bit, and they're always about grotesque things with children. And again, doesn't mean they don't happen, right? So that's the balance of it. But when you hear people insisting that you believe them, and they get mad at you for like demanding evidence of them. It's like, go fuck yourself, dude. History shows that this is a manipulation tactic. It's not wrong to ask for evidence.
Right.
And Snopes did a fact check on Biden, which is my favorite part of the story.
Oh, they found it mostly true?
No. Well,
I mean, it was mostly true except for the beheaded babies part.
So Snopes, what they usually do when Biden says something that's obviously not true is they'll say he was mistaken. Of course, if Trump or somebody on the right says it, they'll say that he intentionally lied. But they couldn't do that here because Biden said the thing that everybody knew wasn't true. It even admitted afterwards. But Biden immediately after saying that he had the photos of the decapitated babies, he immediately asked for billions in aid to Israel urgently, right? So, which is exactly, I don't know if he did it the best way, but that's the strategy for atrocity propaganda. You get people triggered in an outraged, unthinking state, and then you give them the ask, and they go sign up for war. Is like usually what the thing is. And so like he had an ask, so he had a purpose. So what Snopes did instead is Snopes' fact check concluded that who cares if the babies were actually decapitated or if there were any pictures of it? They're dead anyway.
Right.
That was the conclusion of their fact check, which shifts the focus on from the baby's perspective. If they are all dead, then yes, they don't give a shit. Yeah, they're dead. But from the actual perspective of why it matters for the fact check purpose is the president of the United States told the country that he had confirmed evidence of 40 decapitated babies and then immediately asked for urgent support of a $1 billion war of armor. Like that is why it's important.
Right.
And
no, absolutely. That's why it's important. And it's crazy how all of a sudden Ukraine's not the hot girl anymore.
Right. They will be though. So people think Ukraine is going to fade out. They're not.
I know. We got a little Betty and Veronica situation going on, I think.
And here's what I think is going to happen is I think they're going to have legislation presented that ties the two together, so you can't say no to either. Because this war, World War III, the way that they're shaping it, Ukraine and Israel are on the same side, Palestine and Russia.
I mean, Trump praised Putin too. He praises everybody.
Yeah, it's just so fucking dumb. I don't want a war general who's like, all our enemies are stupid. Let's eat tacos all night. That's not who I want.
Yeah, I know. It's like, don't you think we should be like planning?
Nah, dude, they're fucking.
Yeah, I mean, if they're all stupid, why are we training? Why do we even bother?
Well, they like to stay in shape. Everyone's stupid that we fight. Let's play video games all night. I don't want that war commander.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Oh, by the way, there's a manhunt in Georgia. 4 inmates in Bibb County. So if you're in Bibb County,
I'll get on it. I'll get right on it.
All right. I think that's all I wanted to highlight. Although Biden, to me, at this point, I think this story has just kind of got overlooked because it's pretty extraordinary. Can you imagine Trump telling a lie like that? I have pictures of decapitated babies, and then everybody's saying, "Oh, wait, he was lying about that."
No, see, thing is, because if Trump had the photo, he would show it.
There it is.
Here it is.
Oh, don't throw up on my shoes.
You need to see this because we need to get it together.
It's just extraordinary that nobody gives a shit and everybody. It goes to that whole idea of Biden's an old, like he can get away with saying the craziest things because he's so old and like decrepit. Yeah. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of there was this bar, you've probably been there. I think it's called like Bookshelf or something.
Yeah, I remember Bookshelf. Yeah.
And every time I went there, like probably 6 times, there was this homeless guy, a panhandler, who would walk up to me and he'd go, hey man, I got 6 kids in Eggleston Hospital and my wife got shot in the face downtown and my car's out of gas. Can I get some money? Save my children, and I'd be like, where's your car? I'd just ask him questions, and then it would end with him going, man, fuck you, and he'd walk off.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where he never remembered that it was me, and he would say it, and as he came up to me before he said anything, I would say, hey man, my wife got shot downtown, and I got 6 kids in Eggleston, and I need money for gas, and he'd go, man, fuck you, and he'd walk off, right? That's who Joe Biden reminds me of now. Is he just says the most random, obvious bullshit and then demands you give him money for it, and says "fuck you" if you don't. You're a MAGA Trumper.
Don't.
Yeah, that's what he says every time Gio tries to take his pants down. Don't.
You know, when Hunter wants to jump in the shower with him.
God,
don't.
Dude. I feel so bad for Hunter because he had to watch his sister shower with his father his whole childhood when he wanted.
He didn't even get to shower with his sisters.
Like, you never smelled.
You never smell my hair. You never let me shower with my sisters.
I have the worst childhood. I'm gonna go get in a sensory deprivation tank. Okay, so Ian, I have kind of a treat for you.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we can do some. I have a story about. I'm not even gonna tell you it. I have a sex doll story. The police are involved, and there's also, Kevin Spacey is back. Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, he's mad at the world too. He's tired of the fake world we all live in.
He just did a speech at Oxford on cancel culture.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that?
I saw a clip where he was like mad that he was tired of the fake world that we live in.
There he is, right there.
He's drinking some fucking single malt scotch. He's gonna throw that glass at a student.
His entire speech is a Shakespeare. He performs it. So in the DMBXR, I'm gonna show you that, and I'm gonna tell you the sex doll police story. The police arresting a sex doll maybe. So if you guys want to get access to that, go to patreon.com/propaganda report. Subscribe there today. If you're not in a position to do that, then go to whatever podcast platform you list on and give me a 5-star review and give us a comment that warms our heart because it truly helps us. And especially in times like these when everybody's mad about certain subjects, then it makes it helpful to have that motivation to continue going. And let me go through a couple of these comments real quick that before we get out of here and do all that. Hatred causes blindness. Absolutely, David. 100%. There's a book called Propaganda in World War written by Harold Laswell in like 1920, which just focuses in on that stuff. Like it's one of the best books you'll ever read about. CNN and MSNBC, horse blinders on, totally. Yeah, yes, topless at least. Melania redacted, topless. Yeah, you gotta have at least a little bit topless. Although, what's up with Chinese porn? Let's not even get into that.
I haven't even seen Chinese porn.
I haven't either. That's just something Reginald told me about. He had a problem with it, and I don't. I don't know what his problem was.
He's probably a big fan of that Hong Kong dong.
Yeah. Let's see here. All right. We'll say professionally. Hold on. So Denver Radaway says Blinken is a traitor, raised by traitors and spies, and he's working for traitors and spies, and is most of the State Department. COVID culture problem. Blinken, I'm no fan of. I don't like that guy at all. Got rid of what the few free thinkers think, said Denver Radaway.
No, I think all these politicians are on the take for other countries, man. I think like that Bob Menendez story. He's taking money from Egypt and all that stuff.
Oh, dude, I agree. I think
they're all. It's like they're all they're scumbags,
and they hold it over them until they need a distraction or they need a reason to discredit them or get them out of there. Whatever.
I gotta figure out how to get elected so I can get some of this money.
Right. Yeah, I don't think anybody can get to that high of a level. Well, not anybody, but I think it's very challenging to get to that high of a level without somewhere along the way they get someone close to you. They find what we talked about the spy recruitment techniques by the CIA when it comes to trying to exploit you're in debt or your sexual tendencies. They find ways to compromise people. I mean, you wouldn't want somebody as president or in charge of any country if you were kind of these administrative people who've been in government for 50 years.
Yeah.
Who you had no control over, right?
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, I think that's why Trump frustrates them.
Yeah, and that was my argument about Trump. I said if Trump, because we had the Ron Paul tried to do it through the
God bless that man.
Right, and they never gave him time. They never focused on him. He won a state, and they acted like he didn't win it, didn't announce it till later.
He's the only politician I've ever given money to. The only one.
He says the stuff that's, in my
Yeah.
opinion, is the most reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
And they will say, we have all the people on who performed best in the debate, and Ron Paul clearly performed the best when it comes to the polls, and he's not on it.
Do you remember he said they tried to get him at one of the debates? He said, you said you believe in the legalization of all drugs, even heroin? And he looks out at the audience. He goes, do you need the federal government to protect you from heroin? And everyone's cheering. No!
Yeah, right. There's a good clip of him too when he's talking about nutrition and stuff, and there's a woman who complains. It was like he was probably in his 40s or 50s at the time, and he just started yelling at her about, well, you could do more exercising instead of trying to get the government to make you lose weight. Is hilarious. And they would bring him on back in 2012, and he would be doing well in the polls. And they go, thank you for joining us, Ron Paul. There is one of your supporters down in Texas. I found the craziest supporter. One of your supporters who says you're having butt sex with Rick Scott, the governor. So could you please comment on whether or not you're having butt sex? And he just rips the microphone off and walks off.
Oh, and they tied him like an old newsletter. They tied to some white supremacist, some newsletter, his campaign, and he put out like in the 60s or something.
As though Bill Clinton didn't speak at a Klan member's funeral.
Yeah, I know. I know. Give me a friggin' break.
So it's like he tried to do it that way, and that's the one thing both sides can agree on. We'll attack the person who doesn't go to either one of our sides.
Right.
Someone else who's going to do it a different way. I'm not saying it's Trump. I'm saying it could be anybody. They're going to have to pretend to be. They're going to be like Batman. They're going to pretend to be one of the idiotic, wealthy elites by day, but a vigilante trying to destroy them by night. It's going to be a Batman, and we would never recognize him, which sucks. But that's the way it would have to be if it's not going to work the other way.
Yeah.
So, all right. We're going to go in. We're going to do a few minutes of this other stuff and get out of it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the comments. I appreciate it. Had a lot of fun. Ian, thank you for joining us. Reginald, if you're still listening, thank you for joining us. I will say this. There's some Halloween movies right now that are recommended on many of your streaming platforms. And Haunted Mansion is a Halloween movie that you might find pop up as a recommendation in the next couple of weeks.
Please watch it. I need those residual checks.
Residuals, and you're right. Yeah, you'll get those residuals. So Ian is in Haunted Mansion, and you got pretty.
It's my last movie. It's my last movie.
All right, so check it out. All right, we'll talk to you guys in the DMBXR. Thank you guys for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day. All right, let's get.